Russell Wilson has been traded to the Denver Broncos. Tom Pelissero reports that there is a deal in principle to send 9-time Pro Bowl quarterback Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos. In exchange for...
All right, back now with you on Total Access with breaking news out of Green Bay. We go straight to Tom Pelissero on the details of what's going on with Devontae Adams, who looks like the Raiders are acquiring him from the Packers. All right.
Hello, and welcome to the Wild Wild West podcast on Wednesday. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a fantastic show for you today. We have 4 3-point stance segments from our opponents coming up. That's right, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, because all of our bye weeks are officially done and dusted. Alex, you just count to 5? Is that like American math thing?
That was a Kobe reference for a coach, but he wasn't looking. So,
oh, okay.
Just flew.
Yeah. All right.
My bad. But I know exactly what you did, though.
So it was the no look. This is how you can tell you've done a show for as long as you guys have. You know what each other did without even looking at it, right? So
there
it's
you
fantastic. Go. So, guys, we got some great stuff for you tonight. We're going to get into the last week, a little recap of what went on and, what we would have liked to have seen perhaps instead or, whatever the case may be. And then we will jump quickly into the week ahead, get into what we might see depending on which team we're talking about and all that stuff. And, yes, that was my Canadian accent coming out in full effect because I just used the word that defines the fact that I am not an American. So, Captain, over to you and your recap of last week.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
You picked up on that too. Good for
you. Yeah. About last week. Well, actually, my last week was like pretty recent because it took me a while to get home. I actually drove from Tampa to Jacksonville and then drove back, which is why I didn't have a Sunday show. I think I've seen this movie before, having a 17-point lead at least, and then dropping the game. And it's getting to a point where it's
5 times now.
Well, no. 3 this year, only 3 this year, asshole. Okay. Let's get it correct. Okay. But no, it's disheartening to say the least, but it's one of those things where I'm just, I'm over it. So it's not like I'm not going to be a fan. I've been a fan for 50 years. I've been with the highs and the lows and all in between. Unlike people that, jump on and off the bandwagon, and there are teams that I won't mention because some of their fans are in here that really have no clue what the hell's going on. For example, there are things that you can do, and I'm just saying, just rolling with it. There's a lot of dissension that's within the Raiders locker room that is self-apparent when Derek Carr alludes to it in his conference, said that there are things that need to be said, but that is not the place to say it. When Davante Adams calls out the coaching staff, and I myself had said this personally, I got some information from an inside source that the Raiders offense was not happy with the play calling, and that was from an inside source, as well as another inside source which stated that Darren Waller has not a strained hamstring, but a torn hamstring, and that's why he's not playing. So while all of these things are going on, and there's nothing about it, so I just and go with it. Now this will be a week that I don't go out for a game. It wasn't like I've come off the bandwagon. This has been well planned, well in advance. So I had somebody that was going to buy no, JD. I don't believe in that. I don't think Bisaccia would have been the answer. But I don't think that McDaniels is the answer. I'll just say that right now. If somebody wants to go take my tickets to the game this weekend against the Colts, they are available. They are right next to the Raiders tunnel, and I'm ready for some offers. I'm not going, but this was planned in advance. It's not that I just said I'm not going because of what's going on.
That'd be a pretty fun game, though, that'd be a pretty fun game with what the Colts just did, though, too. I mean, that's just we'll call it a dysfunctional bowl.
Yeah. I mean, you get the Colts get rid of their coach,
brought in an analyst,
who got rid of his offensive coordinator, and you bring in a guy in Jeff Saturday who has no pro coaching experience, although he was a coach at a school for Christian Academy college. And then he's leaving the play calling to, I think, the junior quarterbacks coach, not even the regular quarterbacks coach. So it's gonna be fun to watch. It's gonna be fun to watch. And I'll be watching from the auspices of the Sorry, what?
I sent Saturday a DM. I said I'm available to coach if you need me.
Hey, listen. If you need, listen. I don't know. I'm not really fond about Gus Bradley, but I'll be his assistant for a nominal fee.
I'll carry some towels.
Hey, man, sign me up.
Yeah, whatever.
Sign me up. Indy's a short flight from here. I can get there. I can get there by tomorrow.
I'll drive.
I like it.
Well, I mean, I work best from a higher vantage point to analyze the offensive play calling, so I could certainly be of some assistance, although they're going to basically expect from me that the only way they're going to win would be 12 and 13 personnel. And
all tight ends all day.
Tight ends all day, baby. That's right. Tight ends all day,
Saturday
baby.
Would be about that, though. That's something I think he would be on board with that.
Yeah, I think he'd be old school smash mouth, oriented if he had you as an OC.
Oh yeah. That's my brand of football.
If the Raiders lose to Saturday on Sunday, McDaniels should be gone on Monday. But that's all I have to say about that.
Say it again, Cap. That's a good. Say it again. I like that.
Roll that one back.
If the Raiders lose to Saturday on Sunday, McDaniels should be gone Monday.
Hey, there you go. And
then we'd all be happy. Then we'd all be happy by Tuesday.
We all have a
Captain, was that your own version of Abbott and Costello?
Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know. Who's on third?
Oh, I hope that Capt and I aren't the only ones that know that reference.
Huh? Yeah, actually, I do know that.
Like, geez,
no, I do.
I think I'm the youngest one here, and I know that reference. So come on.
I'm right there with you.
That might be the greatest comedy skit of all time.
I was trolling in the chat, so I wasn't talking. So.
Oh, okay. DZ, it was almost a Zeus reference, although the way that he kind of made that flow together, it to me, it just had more who's on first Abbott Costello vibes from it, which is why I made the comment. But although I'm not going to lie, that really ought to be clipped out, and we need to make that a short, because I think that was a great flow in
Senator Jeff Saturday. I think we'd all have jobs on Monday, right?
Right. Look, he'll get fired. McDaniel get fired on Monday. We're hired by Tuesday. There you go.
Perfect.
What's on Wednesday?
We don't all be happy by Wednesday.
So breaking news, the Wild Wild West podcast will be broadcast live from Indianapolis Stadium on Wednesday of next week.
At practice.
Not on Wednesday. We would be the coach of the Raiders by Wednesday because McDaniel would be fired on Monday. So that would be the spot that would be open. Now, if Saturday loses on Sunday, I don't know what to say about that.
Should he be out by Monday?
No, because they made that choice. They made that choice.
They did. Not willingly. Like they fired a guy. They didn't even call anybody else. They decided that he's my guy.
He's like, I'm sick of coaches and people that have qualifications.
Yeah,
Jeff,
right.
Get in here.
Right, exactly. You know, if I'm anybody on this coaching staff, I'm pissed. I'm like, you gonna pass over me for Jeff Saturday, who has never coached an NFL game a day in his life.
Coach of high school. I love that they put that at the end of it's at the tail end of all of his qualifications.
Listen,
like he's a Pro Bowler, all-time Ring of Honor, Colts member, and coached 1 year at Georgia Christian Whatever Academy.
Yeah,
Georgia Christian righteous members of the cross burning academy, it's like whatever. Yeah, that was just not it's like that would not be on the first page of my references, man.
Cap, what do you think about old Abrams getting out?
He's now a Packer.
He's a Packer, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, did somebody pick him up? I mean,
Packers did.
Yep.
Packers picked him up.
That doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. And here's the thing. There are Raiders players that were drafted that have gone on to great careers elsewhere. I give you the kid Harris that played for the Broncos. Okay.
Shelby Harris is incredible. He's now with the Seahawks.
Right.
Yeah.
I give you Danico Autry, who is well for the Tennessee Titans. Okay. So it's not a matter of the Raiders drafting horribly. It's a matter of the Raiders coaches not employing these guys in a system that will bring out their talents. They go elsewhere and they prosper. So the fact that the Packers see something in Abram doesn't surprise me. And they will probably use him to his capabilities. Now, and JD says what I was thinking as well. If you're going to keep him on the team through halfway through the season, just bench his ass, cut him at the end of the year because you're going to get a comp pick for him as the first-round pick. I understand that at all. I do not understand cutting him at the halfway point. Obviously, they shot them at the trade deadline. There were no takers. So you have a 53-man roster. Okay, technically you got a 52-man roster if you're not going to play him. But you get the comp pick for him. I do not understand that at all.
Yeah, I mean, unless they were desperate for a roster spot, I don't get the idea either. Because like you said, if you keep him to the end of the year, you get a compensatory pick potentially. But you let him go now, you get nothing.
You're right. You get shit for him.
Yeah, at all. Yeah, I don't get it.
Other than you free up a roster spot. Now,
but
that's the only advantage you got.
No, there's two.
Yeah, you need it for a safety.
No. My point is there's only two real reasons why you do what you do, and any other reason that I can think of is absolute just loopy and stupid. One, he may have been an absolute cancer in the locker room, and the coaches just wanted him gone.
And he's dog water.
That's a legitimate reason to outright cut him. Right? Like if he was absolutely dogging on everything and absolutely like bringing everyone else down with him, then that's a reason to cut him for sure right away. Bye-bye. Thank you. And then the other one, to your point, is you really needed the roster spot. You just didn't want him. That's it.
Well, maybe, prior to the deadline, he was saying, trade me, being that
could
guy.
Be one of those things.
And they tried, and it didn't work. And still doing, whatever he was doing.
Yeah.
Right.
It's possible.
And Right. Ghostman, you're not wrong. Like, you can just bench him, right? And that's true. But my point being is that if he's sitting there in the locker room and on the bench and in practices and all those things, running his mouth and bringing everyone else on the team down with him, you got to kick him out the door. Because a guy like that serves you no purpose. If he's not playing well enough on the field for you to make up the difference, he's got to go.
And this is McDaniels we're talking about here. So if he has any Belichick in him, he don't have a whole lot of room or patience for nonsense. So yeah, if he was something of a problematic situation from a character perspective, then yeah, he would definitely got to go. We're going to pay you your rest of your bonus or whatever you got left on your contract, and see you later. Go play somewhere else. Oh, bros in the building.
Actually, I think that they said what they said is it saved us 3, but it cost us 2, or it saved us 2, but it cost us 3. Either way, there was a $1 million savings with cutting him at this time, and that's it. $1 million ain't shit.
Well, that's one league minimum contract. That's all that is.
Yeah,
that's a league minimum contract. It's a practice squad spot. That's all that is.
Yeah, exactly. So Alex, over to you, and talking about your game against the Titans. I'm not going to lie. To me, that was one of the more interesting games this past week.
It certainly ended up being one, right?
It was. I actually thought it was going to be as close as it was, because I knew the Titans had some of the right ingredients on their defensive side of the ball to really cause you guys fits, especially with their pass rush and run stopping. And they proved me right. At the end of the day, you guys made some adjustments there at the end of the game to bring yourself back, but it went right down to the wire, clearly.
OT.
Yeah. Well, and they could not run the ball at all. Mahomes, is a leading rusher with 63 yards that pretty sure he had in the last 3 minutes of the fourth quarter. And he also threw 68 times, which is just kind of ridiculous. But, for as close as it was, like I said before the show, win's a win. But Derrick Henry is definitely that dude. And I was just good to see the Chiefs make adjustments at halftime to restrict Derrick Henry as much as you can, and make it to where the Titans had to win with Malik Willis. And when it came time to do that, they couldn't do it. So,
yep.
As much as you don't want to see Mahomes throw 70 times and have to run to get it all done, that's what once in a generation type players do when they need to. So, they got it done. It wasn't a good win. It wasn't a pretty win, but they beat a 5-2 squad in the same week that the Bills lost. So could have been worse.
Oh yeah, for sure. Coach, curious as to your thoughts on the Titans defense against the Chiefs in that game. To me, it showed, dare I say, a bit of a blueprint.
Glad you said that.
In this game, because you kind of look how they pieced themselves, and really the only thing the Titans were missing were a better secondary, right? Like, we actually kind of look at the way things kind of panned out, and because our secondary couldn't withstand the offensive line adjustments to reduce the pressure on Mahomes in the second half, the secondary for the Titans were not able to hold up. So I'm curious as to your thoughts and just kind of where things stand now, and also the fact that the Chiefs have gone consistently with slow starts.
Yeah.
And it seems like par for the course. Slow start off and then they make it second half adjustments.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I could probably spend a whole podcast talking about the Titans defense, because I was in awe of what they were doing, and I actually give the secondary a lot of credit, because if you look at the splash plays that happened in the game changing plays were all done with Mahomes' legs. It was not an issue with them breaking down in coverage and giving up big plays from a receiver perspective. Yeah, they bottled up the receivers pretty well. Like, they had to dink and duck and literally get yards to Hardway all game. So I'll give credit to the secondary, Christian Fulton and the company, for holding up well in coverage, because a lot of times they rushed 4 a lot. And it was a lot of good coverage on the back end, and Mahomes had no choice but to try to break containment and get out of the pocket and either run or do things off script. But to your point, that what the Titans do, and it's a little bit of scheme and personnel that's in tandem with how they defended the Chiefs in that game. It's the fact that you have to have the ability to have a good front four and just be able to rush 4.
Right.
Not only have a good front 4 and rush 4, but have good rush lanes, because with Mahomes being mobile, you have to literally keep him in the pocket and box him in.
Exceedingly mobile too.
Yeah, deceptively
Malik
mobile.
Willis is like superior athletic ability in terms of running, and,
right.
They just look totally different.
They're 2 different people. And then I think Chris Cosmo, somebody said that he's the fastest 4.8 guy I've ever seen. Like he's from the 40.
Like he doesn't even walk. Like he doesn't walk athletic. The way he walks, you're like, dude.
He walked like his feet hurt. That's what he was.
But then he's always found a way to have like a pivotal career sort of
rushing
run against
always. Yeah, like the first one in the playoffs was ridiculous. And the stamp that he tied the game with, or made a 2-point game with that rush that he had towards the end of the game was another one. But yeah, I was definitely highly impressed with how clearly they shut down the run completely, and they actually been doing well against the entire league. They're in tops in run defense holistically, so that's a credit to the front 7 and to Vrabel. On top of that, like you said, just having disciplined rush lanes and staying in that throughout the game, because there's one thing to have discipline early in the game, but sometimes that wanes when you get tired or get frustrated because things aren't going the way you want them to go. So you kind of lose your ability to stay disciplined. So they did that for the entirety of the game. I probably can count on one hand the times Mahomes literally broke contain freely and didn't have had an easy shot at the edge when he got out of the pocket. So I definitely give credit to that, the credit for the back end and them stopping and run. It was a great performance. And I think this is probably the most vulnerable you have saw the Chiefs to be this year, and from top to bottom. So, if you have the ability to have the personnel that can do what the Titans did, be physical with them, get after them with a front 4 and box them in the pocket, we can't get out of the pocket easy, then that's the way you play them. But if you can't do that, then you don't have the ability to defend them the same way, so it won't allow you to defend them the certain way that you want to.
Give me some more scheme.
So
he's talking dirty.
Right.
Talking dirty. Ooh.
Hey, well, for as vulnerable as they've looked, they're still 6-2.
Hey, well, I know I don't give him credit for being vulnerable in the entirety of the league of this year. I just give him credit for being vulnerable in that game. Like the Titans played them as tough as you probably could. They've been played all year defensively.
Yeah, they always do, though.
It sounds like if you just talk about stunts and twists to Jacob, he'll be back with us in about 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, I know. If I talk about a TE stunt or 3 to 5 tech tango, Jacob. A dog blitz, blitz.
Everyone just saw Cap's vinegar strokes. Here we go.
Not the vinegar strokes. Great league reference, by the way. Great league reference. That's my show.
Yeah.
Great league reference. I love that show.
Yeah.
But yes, I would definitely say that it was a great performance defensively. And again, that's probably the biggest push that the Chiefs got, biggest challenge they had offensively in the whole entire season. I think we pushed them pretty well in the game earlier in the season, but we were healthier then. On top of the fact that I think that them being able to take that game plan and that scheme, execute it to perfection, and give all fits that you can give to the Titans, to the Chiefs offense that you can give them.
No, I agree. Wanting to get through the recaps here, so I'll go quickly at the Broncos. Okay, Coach, over to you and the Chargers. What were your thoughts on that game?
Well, much like the Chiefs, we started slow as well. We got down by 10, but thankfully the Falcons outcoached themselves in a sense, because they were browbeating us to death with the run early. Now it's a combination of the Chargers kind of bowing their backs and saying that I'm going to not be bullied in a sense in the better part of the second quarter. On top of the fact that they kind of got away from the traditional outside zones that they were killing us with. to allow us to get back into the game. But once that happened, then all bets were off, and I'm going to take Justin Herbert over Marcus Mariota, blow for blow when it comes down to drive for drive, point for point. So that's typically what happens in games like this, where it's kind of ugly early, but we tie it up, and then it's typically same thing we did with the Browns. It's they score, we score, they score, we score, and then it's always down to that last kick in the fourth quarter. And just thankfully, which is not norm for us, that we end up winning those games in this season off a missed kick or a kick made by us. Because I feel like we've won, I want to say 5 out of 5 games, we probably won 3 by kicks, either miss or one or game winners. We beat the Broncos by kick, we beat the Falcons by kick, and then a missed kick by the Browns. That's 3 wins that we had by just straight up field goal kicking. So when for sure that we normally lose games like that and they come down to kicking, we don't typically come out on the good end of those. It's a good sight to see. That fumble was crazy, Avatar, and I was questioning whether or not he was down. It was like a bang bang play, and then you see the D lineman running down the sideline, and he sees Justin Herbert coming for his legs, and he fumbles the ball before Justin gets there, and we get the ball back, and then one pass later we in field goal range again. Yeah, it was a wacky game.
Khalil Mack too.
Oh, stripping Drake London, yeah.
Man.
But you saw him get gassed around the 50-yard line trying to run it back, though, right? He's I'm not built for this.
Like, give me the tank. Where's the oxygen?
Right. I'm not built for this 100-yard return business anymore, because he also knows that this is a sneaky trick about defenders, right? That if you score a touchdown on defense, you got to go right back on the field.
Yeah.
So I'll put you in scoring position, and then I'll get tackled so we can take a blow on the sideline, and that way you can get about 5 or 6 minutes of rest before we got to go back out.
Otherwise, all you got is kickoff return.
That's it. Kickoff turn in a commercial break, and you're right back on the field. I'm sure he wasn't eager to return it all the way, a la James Harrison in the Super Bowl. So. Yeah, it was a hard-fought game. Again, what unnerves me, and I'm sure we'll get to this now, is still the run defense isn't up to speed, and that has a lot to do with aggressive play by secondary and our linebackers, and the idea of alignment, man. I just want to just put my arms around Brandon Staley's shoulder and tell him to play certain fronts and get in certain alignments and certain formations, and he won't do it. He won't do it. He just won't do it. I'm like, and just put those big bodies up front on first and second down. Stop playing pass rushers like Morgan Fox on rundowns.
Jacob, are you okay?
He's going to get blown up. He's probably taking a nap. That first one, makes you tired. The first one makes you tired, so he's probably taking a nap.
I told you,
He's probably taking a nap. Man, is he ever going to play again?
He reactivated the injury in the bye week.
I know. I saw.
Yeah, so I honestly, truly, I'm not optimistic he's going to play this year at all, to be honest with you, because hamstrings are extremely tricky. And he said something that stuck out to me. He said that he's not at this point he's not going to play till he feels 100%.
Yeah,
he's kind of Kawhi Leonard in me now, because Kawhi Leonard says the same thing when he plays basketball. So it's like, he's not going to play until he's 100%, which means this might be December, January before we even see him play. And who knows what type of state of affairs we're going to be in record-wise by then. Yeah. We need him out there. But again,
I get that, though. Like, I tore my ACL, and a big part of it is because I had a partially torn hamstring and refused to sit out. So,
yeah, one injury leads to another. I've seen it playing and coaching. Yeah. Yes, it compounds it. Yeah, if you got a sore ankle leads to a broken ankle in certain cases. So that's definitely a thing. That's definitely a thing. So I definitely would say that he should sit out, but we're just hemorrhaging at receiver. So with Mike Williams being out now, if Mike wasn't out, then I'd be like, okay, we might be a hedge, I bet. But
this is what I don't understand is, like, here's an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you just look to the Broncos practice squad, just within your division,
mm-hmm.
you've seen, because you've scouted the Broncos as the Chargers,
mm-hmm.
a guy that we had on our practice squad for 2 weeks, and say a guy like Trinity Benson. Now, he's not a replacement for Keenan Allen,
mm-hmm.
but he has speed. He runs routes well. And you've seen what he can do when he plays on the field. And frankly, I think with a guy like Justin Herbert, a guy like Trinity Benson would show out.
See, the thing about that, Rich, and this is what baffles me about the organization as a whole, is that they don't never go after the obvious thing. Like they bring in the same prototypical type receivers every single clip. Like, they don't go after the speed, the shorter, speedier guys. They always get the big bodies. They bring in Keelan Dawson, who's like 6'4", who runs a 4.5 40. You know, you bring in what's the kid's name? He slips my mind right now.
Wait a second. You guys had Keelan Dawson?
Yeah, we had Keelan. Yeah, he played in the game. Yeah, he played in the game.
We know about him. We picked him up as a UFA.
I remember.
Hero, man.
He was a Hard Knocks sensation, wasn't he? Yeah. During that season, I had Hard Knocks. So yeah. You know, they just always go after the same thing, expecting different results, and it doesn't work that way. Sometimes you just got to take a shot. Like they had Tyron Johnson in the house. He was great for us last year. He bounced around. He was available, and they didn't pull a string on that either. And he had speed. We lost Jalen Guyton, and you never replaced Jalen Guyton's speed in our offense based upon the fact that he was injured for the year. So I just don't get the mindset about how they feel these guys are going to contribute when none of them contribute. Because you look at it like this.
So that's a GM problem, then, is what you're thinking.
Well, the GM or coaching thing. Like the coaches pretty much say, you know, we feel comfortable with X, Y, and Z, and the GM goes out and get them. They're the one that pulls the strings on the paperwork, but you know the coaches have to sign off on it too. You know, so I think that's part of the problem with the coaches alike versus what you would work well for the offense. Jason Moore, that's the kid. Jason Moore's name. He's another guy that came in. Right, exactly. Exactly. So you bring in these tall, slow kids and you run the same type of offense. Everybody runs 7-yard routes and you're easy to defend. And what about offense is stagnant? So again, you got at some point in some facet, you have to go out and get somebody that can stretch the field.
I like the several times that I see it too now, you know, kind of getting a little more Chargers coverage in my Twitter, where it's like third down and all the receivers are running stick routes.
Yeah, you drop the man play where it's all sticks. Yeah. It's five wide, all sticks.
Might as well just go out and call 4 verts every time. Just see what happens.
See what happens. Just one time. Like, you know, maybe something pops. I don't know. Yeah. You know, something past the first down marker. How about that? Let's do that.
At some point, some of this has to fall on Herbert. And I'm not trying to, you know, point 100% to Sunshine there as your quarterback. But at some point, he has to recognize.
No. Sunshine plays for the Jaguars.
Oh yeah, well he's got the longer hair now, but Herbert fits the mold a little bit better because he had the really long hair when he first came into the league, and then he got like the real short haircut, just like the movie. So I think Herbert fits the.
Sunshine is Lawrence. Yeah, Sunshine is Lawrence. Sorry,
fair enough, but.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence has a stronger face and stronger features in his face. I would say, yeah, if you had to pick one out of the two, I would say Herbert to me. But go on, Rich.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Well, you're right.
But if you truly look at what you have in Herbert, at some point he's got to go to the organization and say, "Do you want me to re-sign?"
Be that bold, right?
Yeah, like do you guys want me to basically go public and say where to go and how fast to get there? Because at some point I can't throw to a Keenan Allen who's hurt on the sideline. I can't throw to other wide receivers who can't get open. So at some point you have to give me weapons in order to actually succeed. And it seems crazy to me that Herbert hasn't recognized that, or his agent at least hasn't told him that he has that kind of power over the team, that he can then start publicly calling stuff out and say, fix it.
Yeah, I think you get that from a seasoned veteran more so than a quarterback that's on his rookie deal. I mean, 25 years old. I don't.
Well, he's on his rookie deal, but he's coming up to where it's a put up or shut up for your team, right? And so that's my point. Is if he doesn't think that your GM is going to do anything for him in his career, he's got two decisions to make. Do I want 4 Brinks trucks and hold your team over the fire, or will I take 3.5 and then put your GM on a spit over a fire to say, now get me weapons now?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really the decision that someone like Herbert has to make. And it also comes down to how he structures his contract.
He's not going to do that.
Alex, I actually looked at Mahomes for an example of a quarterback who structured their contract to favor the team to allow them to continue to put weapons around him as an example of what I'm looking to say. Okay, now what does Herbert do?
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to spin my wheels on trying to figure out what's Justin Herbert's thinking in his mind, but I do like Alex's comment about how he's more of an introverted person. He's more of a I'm a do it versus say it kind of kid. He's not a guy that just really is boisterous and just just mouthing off.
Kind of the knock with him too coming out of Oregon.
Yeah, and then he's not the rah-rah guy. He's the I'm the doer, not the sayer. So I think that especially when you look at it from a temporary versus long-term perspective, they spent money to keep Mike Williams in the house, which he wanted. They're already paying Keenan Allen. Market money for a receiver. Went out and got Gerald Everett. He got 3 to 4 running backs. On top of that, Donald Parham was another target that we're missing. So I think that if you're looking from a totality standpoint versus a right now standpoint, that's funny, Jacob. No, Avatar, that's funny. That's funny. I was. He missed half of it. So. I think that he looks at it from a long-term perspective. I think he's fine. Like if everything was healthy and right and good, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. I think because we are literally the most injured team in the league right now is the reason why we're even talking about this. And I think that the fact that we are in a position and you want to seize the moment, you kind of make a splash and go out and get a receiver in trade. That's what I thought the only thing we really lapsed on as far as the organization. We should have really been more aggressive about getting another weapon. Because I felt like, to me, when you made the 53-man roster call, you getting another running back, and Sony Michel was a mistake versus getting another receiver. Like during that time frame, you should have added to the receiver room, in my opinion. Because yes, we weren't planning on Keenan and Mike both being hurt, but I felt like we were thin even before that.
Yeah, 100%.
People carrying 6, 7, 8 receivers, and carrying 2 running backs versus carrying 4 running backs when we don't run the damn ball anyway. Like you're carrying 4 running backs for what? Like we don't run the ball.
Yeah,
like
you got
Justin
one
Herbert,
guy, that's all you need.
Yeah, you got Austin Eckler and maybe one more guy. Like that's all you really need. So after that, then why are we wasting roster spots on running backs when they don't play? Like Isaiah Spiller, we drafted him, and this is his first game he played because Josh Kelly's hurt. He just played this past week for the first time the whole year, and we're 8 games in. So,
ladies and gentlemen, I want us to get over to the games coming up, but Mike, just on that comment there, Phillip Rivers was anything but quiet. He was busy making about 13 kids in the sidelines.
Yeah. Right.
So.
And he would get after you. He just wouldn't cuss. Like Phil Rivers was a boy.
My favorite type of people. Go out of their way to not cuss.
Was probably my favorite opponent in the AFC West because he would come up and jaw at you, but it was hilarious because he'd come up and say, "Oh, gee golly, man!"
Right. I remember this Thursday night game. It was Mike Williams' rookie year because Mike Williams caught the touchdown to win. But Rivers was like freaking out, and the whole Arrowhead was like booing him, and he was like I've never seen someone interact with the fans like that in a TV timeout, but he went full blown Phillip Rivers on everyone. It was good.
Go Phillip Rivers on you. That's a good one. Yeah, he would cuss you without cussing you. Let's put it like that. Yeah. Yes. So Phillip Rivers was definitely outward with
it. Catch the dynamic ball.
Where he walked by that defender that hit him, and he's like 70 freaking yards. Like,
right. That was Yannick Ngakoue, actually. I remember that. That was Yannick Ngakoue. I remember that. Yes, indeed. I definitely think that Phillip Rivers was more outspoken than Justin Herbert is at this moment.
Yeah, Rivers and Antonio Cromartie, weren't they on the same team? Both just pumping out
kids left and right. Like you having a baby this year, so am I. Like every year we come to camp. She's pregnant? Yeah, she's pregnant too. All right, we're good to go.
The only guy that's done that even more low key is Josh Jacobs.
Oh wow.
Josh Jacobs, Phillip Rivers, everyone knew he had a bunch of kids. Josh Jacobs just has a bunch of kids. You just don't know about them.
I didn't know that.
Well, same thing with Cromartie too. He just go boom, here, come here, baby, boom, here, come here, baby, boom.
He looked at women and got them pregnant.
5 baby mamas.
Listen,
with that Nick Cannon mamas. Jacob's got about 7.
He was Nick Cannon before Nick Cannon was Nick Cannon.
Yes.
Yes,
Coach, I realize we don't have you for a ton, and I also know that Coach, if I'm not mistaken, tonight you also have an interview coming up right hard stop at 9. I want to try and get through our review of our upcoming games so we can get all of our input as well as all of our fans' input into our upcoming games. Captain, I'm going to start with you and your game against the Colts. Again, I am going to be petitioning to have your previous segment of the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday thing all clipped out, because I think that was brilliant. But with regards to the Colts, this is the 3-point stance and what the Colts need to do with Jeff Saturday, who has the wrong last name because you play him on Sunday, against your game on the Colts.
Hi, everybody. This is Joe Hopkins with the Colts Blue Zone podcast, and I have been brought on to talk about 3 things the Colts need to do to beat the Raiders. That list should probably be a lot longer, given everything that's going on with the franchise, but I'll stick to 3 here. The defense has actually been playing well, so these will mostly focus on the offense. And let's keep in mind, this is a team that has fired their offensive coordinator and offensive head coach in back-to-back weeks. Now we have Jeff Saturday, former player, but somebody with no coaching experience beyond high school, has been brought in as an interim head coach. And also, the Colts have a first-time play caller and 30-year-old passing game specialist and assistant quarterbacks coach, Parks Frazier. But the number one thing the Colts need to do to beat the Raiders is block somebody. The offensive line, the highest paid offensive line in the league, mind you, has been abysmal all season. And they reached a new low on Sunday in New England when they allowed a whopping 9 sacks to the Patriots. On the year, the Colts have allowed an NFL high 35. This line looks like they've never seen a stunt before in their life. I have no reason to believe in Week 10 the line will all of a sudden get things together, but nonetheless, it remains the most important thing the Colts need to do to beat the Raiders. Number 2, stop turning the ball over. The Colts lead the NFL with 17 giveaways. That's unacceptable. It's nearly 2 per game, and it consistently takes points off the board. 2 weeks ago in Washington, the Colts surpassed the Commanders' 25-yard line 6 times, and they only scored 1 touchdown. They had 2 fumbles on the other occasions. So stop turning the ball over. It not only takes points off the board, but oftentimes it leads to points by giving the opponent the ball in scoring territory. Number 3, generate big plays. This team is not good enough on offense to consistently drive up and down the field. They need big plays, whether that comes in the pass game with Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, Paris Campbell. Those are all 3 guys who can get down the field, who can make things happen with the ball in their hands, or whether it happens on defense in the 6, a scoop and score. Maybe even special teams can get involved. Speedster Isaiah Rodgers is one of the fastest players in the league. The Colts need some splash plays if they're going to beat the Raiders, because you just can't drive in and drive out, march up and down the field, because back to number 1, they can't block anybody. So those are the 3 things they need to do.
He said the teenage Big Lebowski. Dude, man.
All he needed was the little cup and little stir. That's all he needed.
Stop turning the ball over, man.
Stop turning the ball over, man.
I'm the dude. I'm the dude. You call me dude, dude-a-rooney, dudester, and it's like.
I mean, at the end of the day, I do think
he looks 12.
He did bring up some really interesting points. It was actually a really interesting thing to start off with, because it's one of those things where you're like, I would normally want you to just record like 3 things that you need to do to win, but like the Colts just fired everybody.
Right.
Like,
so
you know what I mean? Like
what material?
That was we might have considered bringing him on live. I got some questions for you.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where, and Captain, I'm actually very curious as to your thoughts here, because if we're going to be honest, the Colts actually had a very good offensive line just a year ago.
They did.
I don't know what happened to Quentin Nelson, man.
And so what I'm really interested to see is if Saturday can actually turn them around. can he look at the O-line and say, we're good?
You're hilarious.
I'm
just
on the verge.
Isn't that just the milk from Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
Actually, the points he was making they were good points, but I was like, well, don't turn the ball over. Well, the Raiders don't get a lot of fumbles or interceptions, so I don't really think he's going to have to worry about that. Then he's like, dude, block somebody because we got to keep the core. I said, the Raiders have no pass rush this year. The only person that they have rushing the passer of note is Crosby, and he gets held every play. And I guess depending upon who the official is, and by the way, this is a great segue. We will learn who that official is later on at NFL Nation Live when Ref Guru tells everybody who the officials are for that game. So that's a great segue there. But if the officials don't call it, then
Captain, if I could just quickly jump in, for those of you who don't know, Ref Guru from NFL Nation Live, for those of you who don't actually go over and follow that channel, he's actually a former NFL ref who Captain Jack and Violator jump on and discuss.
You violate him?
Jump in with. Don't say jump on. That's just bad. That's just bad.
Violate, jump on.
No. Jump in
Jacob,
with
it's
video
okay.
wise.
That was not defensive scheme related.
Yeah. But
either way, Ref Guru is a former NFL ref. Literally as high as you can go,
and the team. Yeah.
Pardon me?
No, he knows the referees. He knows the crews. So he has that inside knowledge about what's going to be going. So if they don't call holding a lot against Crosby, that's going to negate that. Hey, dude, block somebody. Well, okay, that's something there. Hey, dude, don't let the Raiders get turnovers. Well, the Raiders, I think, have had like maybe one fumble recovery by Emmett Robertson, which was a fumble 6. One pick 6 by Deron Harmon. They had another interception by Deron Harmon that should have led the points against the Titans and didn't get anything. I honestly can't remember other turnovers.
Yeah,
they might have them, but those are the only. Okay, well, those, and I said 3 of them, so I missed 2. Not bad. But I don't recall a lot, so they're not apt to do that. So it's just a matter of and the one other thing that I like about this game, or in fact I like for the Colts in this game, is the fact that their defensive coordinator was our defensive coordinator last year, and he can actually scheme that defense against the players that he was playing in practice anyway. That's a big advantage for the Colts. Okay, they don't have to really worry about their offensive coordinator, who's a ROTC graduate or something like that, because the Graham, who is supposed to be the great equalizer on defense, okay, hasn't done crap. Now, granted, he doesn't have the players to do it per se, but his defense ain't all that in a biscuit. So I really think that the Colts are gonna hold their own in Vegas this weekend. It's going to be a close game. And don't ask me who wins because I can't tell you.
Well, Captain, I agree with your you had the ladies in silver and black on last night. I joined a little late in the show, but I agree with your general assessment. I think this is a 50-50 toss-up in this game. I truly do. I think that the Colts defense is playing well enough that they will cause the Raiders fits. I also think that if Jeff Saturday can leverage his skill set and even get the Indy offensive line to step it up just even a half a notch or even more, I think they have the talent, just natural talent on the line, just carry over from last year to do well. And Jacob, the channel that I mentioned earlier is called NFL Nation Live. You can search them on YouTube. and
He
it's
says, "I'm gonna go."
they
skiing."
spin up at 9 p.m.
Jake was hilarious.
Yeah, or
That is what.
if you can't find it, watch my channel cast. It's
Right,
on
there you
NFL Nation Live, but it's also on my channel, Capt. RackEm. So there you go. Easy to find.
Easy peasy.
And Captain Jack's channel is below in the description of the video that you're watching right now, no matter which
I'll put 'em
channel you are
on.
watching from. So you can go ahead and check that out.
It's my duty, bro, man. We go to battle every night, so I'll make sure he subscribs.
Sorry, did
Oh.
you say duty?
Yeah.
Call of Duty.
Oh, okay.
I would have saved you. I was like, yeah, that was bad.
Waiting for Warzone start to drop again.
There you go.
So
he said duty.
I kind of agree with your take.
Cap, you're hilarious.
Captain, I agree with your take on kind of the toss-up. I agree with your take on all that other kind of
Status
stuff.
on Jonathan Taylor too.
Well,
That's the other thing I said. Is that if Taylor's playing, they're gonna. If Taylor plays, the Raiders will lose. Why? Because they have not been able to stop the run with Kamara. They weren't able to stop the run with Etienne.
Couldn't stop.
They haven't really been able to stop the run against anybody.
No, but Taylor's a much better runner than Kamara is at this stage.
Oh,
in his
I know.
career.
He's also been a huge disappointment.
Right, and if he plays,
Hello.
stop it, Davis. Stop it.
What scares me about this game period is that the Raiders have no clue what the hell the Colts are going to do offensively. Like, you might see the annexation of Puerto Rico. You might see, we're going to fake to the left. No, we're going to fake to the right. No, we're going to pretend to fake.
I am Cornholio.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what me and Peyton used to do. Dive right, dive left.
Right. That's it. Play action, seam throw to Reggie Wayne. That's it. Yeah, there you go.
You're going to get old boy all worked up. He's going to have an orgasm again, man. Stop doing that scheme stuff. There,
Oh, my bad. It's not scheme hours yet.
There's Jacob on the other end of the screen fanning himself right now.
Yeah. After the show, 10 o'clock, it's scheme hours. Scheme hours.
It's like Randy in South Park. Whenever the internet goes out, and you guys South Parkers, come on. Yeah.
I think this is an interesting question.
Rodgers as a Raider?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, it depends upon what his status is. Yeah. I mean, there are people that are, and I am on record saying that Derek Carr will not be a Raider next year. They're going to use that out in his contract, and the Raiders will be looking for another quarterback next year. People have thrown up "He who shall not be named" to the fake Pirates because he works well with McDaniel. He's the only person that can do McDaniel's offense. I'm sorry to say, and boy, I would have to. Yeah, I would have to really. Yeah, and he's at the end of his contract. Rodgers will be interesting. I don't know what his contract status is. I know when he signed. I don't know if he has an out at the end of this year as well. But the Raiders going to have a new quarterback next year, and they're going to draft one. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
So
What am I going to give up?
I have an honest question for you. How are you going to handle it if Tom Brady comes to the Raiders?
He's going to be inconsolable. I think we're going to have an intervention if Tom Brady goes to the.
Are you going to be okay?
Honestly, no, I won't be okay. I'm going to root for. I just won't be able to look at the offense. So like when the offense is on the field, I'm going to have to turn my back because I will just. Did they score or not? I won't be able to look at when I go to the games, whichever games I go to. I'll just put blinders on when the offense is on because I can't stand a person who shall not be, and I won't swear anything. I've already said the S word. Oh, Rodgers doesn't have an out. Okay, well then, whatever. Well, but
he's dead.
The Raiders will have next year, and they're going to draft one. They're going to draft one next year too. So we'll see.
If they bring in Aaron Rodgers, though, you think they're going to waste a first-round pick on a guy to sit behind him? I mean.
I mean, you only have 2 years left of this deal. After that, I would from a team perspective. But you know, you gotta look at it from the. Look what happened when last time they drafted a quarterback, you know, behind Rodgers and how pissed he got about that. So that's a factor.
Yeah. But you know, he's only got 2 years left, so it's not like, and he's not going to help the kid. It's just a matter of if the no, I'm not going to root for the chefs. So are you kidding me? I'm not rooting for the chefs. I'm just saying. What are you talking about, Mike? Sir, I don't root for. Or are you talking about Jack? Jack Kennedy.
Yeah, he's talking Jack. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. It's a shame.
I'm slowly converting your fan base here.
Like when no. There is nobody that is on my channel that you will convert. They are all true Raider fans. If anything, there are the bandwagon Chef fans that are going to jump ship as soon as
I just wanted to be Wild West
Kermit Darlene leaves the team.
And Captain, I'm not going to lie, a lot of the fans of your channel have made some legitimate efforts to convert me to a Raiders fan. It's just not going to happen. They really have. I'm getting legitimate. Like,
short of knocking on your door like a Jehovah's Witness, they've definitely been on your back there, Richie.
Oh yeah, like even in the chat in this show, there continues to be a trickle in of like, come over to the dark side, and the short answer is just no.
Right.
But I appreciate the efforts because I think that shows true fandom to want to shout out from the rooftops that you believe in your team. I wanted to try and get a couple more of our preview games in here while we have all of us here to kind of discuss it. Coach, I'm going to throw over to the Chargers game.
I'm excited about this.
He's going to throw up. He's going to throw up the guard. You know, he's going to throw up for the Garglers game.
So this is we have Jeff from Pro Football Focus who's going to delve right into the 49ers versus Chargers.
My name is Jeff.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jeff from Pro Football Focus who's going to talk about what the 49ers need to do to beat the Los Angeles Chargers.
Run the ball.
Hoping as a Broncos fan.
Show up.
How you guys doing? I am Jeff Deeney from Pro Football Focus, kind of geared towards covering the Niners. So I have 3 keys to the game between the Niners and the Los Angeles Chargers on Sunday Night Football. The first one, I think, for the 49ers is just unleashing Nick Bosa, who's having, again, another tremendous year. He is tied for second in the league with 8.5 sacks. He is second in the league in pass rush win rate at 24%. Pressure rate, he is fourth at 19.3%. So he is going to be a problem for both tackles for the LA Chargers. He does kind of like to line up on both sides, just kind of with whichever matchup works for the best. He's kind of the defensive left side 65% of the time, 35 on the right. So both of LA's tackles are going to get a little test of Bosa on Sunday night. I think the second key is the combination of Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel in the Niners, not only in the backfield, but also as receivers. This will be the first game that they've had both there 100% of the time where McCaffrey, now has 100% of the playbook to him. And Deebo's coming back from a hamstring injury on Sunday. So both these guys are just kind of chess pieces where you can line them up wherever, whether in the backfield, in the slot, wide. They're both, and I think with Kyle, this is going to give him a lot of creativity here. So, and I think with the Chargers, they're allowing 5.7 yards per carry, which is worse than the NFL. So I think both these guys are going to be a problem for the Chargers on Sunday. And I think the third thing is on the opposite side of the ball rushing is Austin Eckler with the Chargers. The 49ers defense is allowing 3.4 yards per carry, which is best in the National Football League. So I think if the Chargers have a hard time running the football and they're forced to kind of be one-dimensional, that's where Nick Bosa comes back in and they can kind of unleash him and he can pin his ears back and rush the quarterback. So those are my, the 3-point stance for the 49ers are 3 keys to try to beat the Chargers on Sunday night.
Well, he's not wrong.
I love that the percentages came out quick.
Of course, that
Oh,
would
yeah.
PFF if it wasn't about the numbers and the percentages. So, and I like DC's comment too. He said PFF hates the Chargers, so this one should be good.
And for those of you who did not see that comment, let's toss that up on the screen for all of you to see.
That's a good one.
Coach, I do think that there is some interesting kind of comments in that 3-point stance video from Jeff. And thank you, Jeff, for joining us. That was excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really was. It was spectacular. He did bring up some interesting points. He did bring up some interesting points here, which was they now have Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel, which are they're not necessarily clones, but they're certainly interchangeable in some of their skill sets.
Yeah. I mean, being dual threats, that's the biggest thing that that's it's almost like a Swiss Army knife for Shanahan's offense. So that's problematic. And I tweeted this earlier. I said the damn 49ers will get healthy when it's time to play us. Like we're completely utterly banged up, and they're going to get completely healthy and whole by the time they play us. So that's ironic. But yeah, I mean, all the points he made were valid. Starting with the Nick Bosa comment, and I was thinking as he was saying it that Nick Bosa isn't just a one side of the line of scrimmage guy. He lines up on both sides, and interesting he gave the numbers about which he lined up. So now the caveat to that as well is the fact that our right tackle Trey Pipkin is dealing with a knee issue. He went down again in the Atlanta game, so he may not play. Staley said he's going to be a game time decision. So even if he does play, he's not going to be 100%. So that's not a sign of that bodes well for us being kind of hobbled going against Nick. Secondly, we have a backup left tackle playing in Rashad Slater's place in Jamari Salyer. Now, Jamari Salyer has done pretty well at left tackle. I mean, he's not Rashad Slater, but he's done quite well for himself in that position. I would say that. But again, having to block a guy like Nick Bosa isn't something you do every day. And I think Myles Garrett and Nick Bosa is going to be his biggest test to date. Him having to block them and keep them out of Justin Herbert's wheelhouse. So that's going to be the problem defensively, and keeping Fred Warner out of Austin Eckler's pocket, because Fred Warner is a 3-down, coverage and run stopping phenom. Like he gets it done. So I got to give him credit where credit is due. He gets it done. So if he's manned up against Austin Eckler, that's going to be a heavyweight, matchup in the pass game.
I was going to say that.
Yeah. So the Chiefs attack Bosa.
Chiefs actually just didn't block Bosa. They just let him
leak it underneath you. Right. Exactly.
Cut him or screened off of him running upfield. So.
Yeah, but the question is, who would the Chargers use?
Eckler.
No, Eckler could handle some of it, but at the end of the day, because they rotate Bosa around, how could the Chargers address the Bosa problem when all the Niners would need to do is then flip Bosa to the other side? And I don't think the Chargers could regularly flip Eckler to whichever side Bosa's on to run screens to negate him. So
no, that's not necessarily true. And Jacob, get ready because I'm gonna talk scheme again, because it's a line call in the huddle. It's a line call in the huddle. So they're going to say they're going to game plan against his alignment every play. So if they call a screen, it's all to be predetermined. Say what side he's going to be on, that's the side we're running the screen to. So it's already predetermined. It's a 2-part call play in the huddle. So if he's lined up on the left, we're running this to the left. He's lined up on the right, we're running to the right. So you already know that predetermined going into the huddle. So he'll call out, say, hey, I believe what is his number? 91 Liz. And you already know that screen's going left because Bosa's on the left side. So it's automatic game prepping call to say that I'm going to do that, guaranteed to run it on Nick Bosa's side every single time, if that's what you want to do. So you can do that scheme wise. You can scheme that up right now.
Will they do it? Nah.
I don't know, but I mean, if they know what we know as far as watching film, that you just run screens around him to keep him to gate his abilities, then
Tell me more. Some more.
You're right.
Pour some honey on me.
Right. You remember that part in The Water Boy when the guy with the overalls was holding his nipples?
Yeah.
That's Jacob. That's Jacob right there. Right, Cap. Right, Cap. That's Jacob right there. Right. So yeah, it can't be done.
You can do it all night long.
And the Chargers have propensity to run a lot of screens in every game, so it's not a far-fetched idea that they could do that. So I think that's a possibility.
Right, and then the risk you run when you start doing things that are, we'll call it predictable, which is something like that would be, is you run the risk of adjustments being made to exploit that.
Yeah.
And so I think you just need to. I mean, Kyle Shanahan is, we'll just call him sharp as a head coach. He's a very smart guy. He's been around it his whole life, literally from the time he was, barely able to walk because of his father.
Right.
Right. I mean, let's just call a duck for what it is. And so I think he's got a bit of a head start over most. He's been extremely successful even at a young age. And so then the question is, is that not just going to tip your hand? And will a guy like Shanahan not go over his DC or other, whatever the case may be, to say, what adjustments to make? And it's like a quid pro quo between the two, and away you go. I think that's a legitimate possibility.
Yeah,
from the
it would be on
side.
it would be on DeMeco Ryans to make that call. And halfway you get into halftime, look at a little bit of film and say, hey, every time they run the screen, it's always been the Bosa side, and they can kind of mix and match and do some things. Maybe send a stunt off the edge, or use Fred Warner as a decoy kind of thing. They could do a bunch of things. I mean, it's a bunch of things you could do. But overall, I mean, it's not it's a one for one thing. If we're going to do that, guaranteed, it's going to be a guaranteed thing that we're going to do. Then they can counter it, but you have to then counter that when they're doing and run something different. So it's just an in-game adjustment chess match that you're really playing with, cat and mouse game, which you're playing with. Playing with the offense versus defense. So I mean, it could be done. But overall, I mean, I think that's the biggest glaring thing, because I think that it's a tale of two. I guess you can say, I guess a matchup of backups, because their secondaries dealing with a lot of injuries. They got their starters outside of Ward is all out, so they're dealing with backups in the secondary. But yet again, so are we from a receiving core. So it's kind of like a push, kind of thing. So the receiving core is dealing with injuries. The receiving core is dealing with injuries, and the secondary is. So that's kind of a push. So you might want to lean on utilizing the tight ends offensively for us. That should be something that should put emphasis on, as far as using the tight ends and getting those mismatches against those linebackers. But overall, I think that they have to stay on schedule on offense. Try for some fast to try to run the ball, because you got to stay balanced against this team. You can't go particularly ridiculously pass heavy and expect Justin Herbert to stay upright all game. That's just not something that's the smart game plan to think that in your mind that's going to work out well for you if he has to throw the ball 50 times a game. So
especially not with backup tackles.
Exactly. Well, yeah. Right. If Pipkin doesn't play, Storm Norton's got to play. Then that really scares me. That gives me a lot of anxiety. So I would also lean to the idea that Storm Norton's going to play right tackle. Then they're going to probably do a lot of quick passes. They're not going to let Justin hold the ball. Yeah, so I think that's going to play into it as well. So, I mean, overall, it's just a matter of what type of game plan you put up, what Lombardi's going to put up against this defense. But again, like I said, outside of their corners been done for the year, they're completely healthy across the board. And on the offensive side, using McCaffrey as a Swiss Army knife, on top of the idea of using a Debo in multiple roles, against our corners, it's something that's going to have to be a challenge that we're going to have to combat. And hopefully they start slow. And if they start slow, then we have a better chance. But if they come out and they start clicking early, and they start running the ball and getting real savvy with their run schemes, it could be a long day. Because not only that we have a low rating as far as yards per carry as a team, we lost our best run stopper to injury for the year in this last game. So that's another blow to the front seven. So we brought up Brendan Fiocco from the practice squad, which I think he's a really good run stopper. But yet again, that's just one guy. So we have to honestly and truly figure out the best way to utilize our weapons and try to keep the game close, and maybe try to steal it at the end.
Where do the Chargers rank in terms of like run defense?
Last in the league.
Yeah.
It was 29th. It was 29th before they played the Falcons. Now it's 32nd.
Oof.
So Coach, on that note, have two guys that are hybrid running back / wide receivers that you're going against in the 49ers. I have to be just blunt. That cannot make you feel great about this.
No, I have a lot of anxiety about this game, trust me. Because we have this game, and then we get the Chiefs right after that. So it's like, it's
flex too.
Yeah, exactly. It's a Sunday night, so we got 2 Sunday night primetime games against 2 really good teams. So I think that we're going to have to, again, we have to make the game ugly, play ugly, and try to steal it. I think that's our best move right now with no weapons.
2 Sunday nights in a row.
Well, we had
How
one
did
on the
that
schedule
happen?
already. The 49ers were on schedule already,
Yeah,
and then they flexed the
Chiefs
game.
one.
They flexed the Chiefs game in from Sunday to Sunday in the afternoon to Sunday night.
Okay.
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
I was
to
gonna
be
say,
honest,
it
when you
wasn't
look at
scheduled.
where the Chiefs and the Chargers are, they're within that kind of
Yeah.
margin of error, right? So and also Herbert and Mahomes. I mean, Herbert is looking like he's a legit prospect, 100%. So, the league is all about promoting the quarterback, and so Herbert and Mahomes are going to be kind of the marquee matchup until proven otherwise, right? So, I think that's going to be that'll be, I think, in my opinion, and it's also interdivision, which makes it even more,
in the second one,
eyes on the TV sets, because every divisional rival knows other divisional rivals. So this is the Roger Goodell wet dream kind of coming to fruition.
This is his scheme.
Yeah, well, yeah, this is like defensive scheme there for Jacob.
Right.
This is Roger Goodell's version of it, with the pinching of the nipples, which is, oh my gosh, I have 2 of the top quarterbacks in the same division.
Playing, yes, play them on Sunday night. We need to see that prime time, exactly. and I think he's past the whole idea of giving everybody a shot for prime time, and the boring games are over. So I think you're going to see a lot more flexing of the Sunday night and Monday night games. I think it's going to see that happen going forward and get the best matchup on TV.
Yeah,
I think he's going to do that a lot.
What was supposed to be the Sunday night game?
Steelers and Bengals.
According to DZ, Steelers and Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and both of those teams are. I mean, the Bengals are certainly, I think, doing better than the Steelers. But
I thought you were going to tell me the Broncos. So
what? Hey,
there you go.
Let's wait and see how Mahomes does against the Broncos defense.
Huh?
Let's wait and see how your waddling quarterback does against the Broncos defense, and then we'll go from there.
Well, I was just saying, because I felt like the first 5 weeks was like Broncos primetime slot. So
they had a couple of Thursday and Sunday night games.
They thought that Wilson could actually play football, and they were wrong.
Are we giving up on Russ? Dangerous? Are we giving up on Dangerous?
Well, I mean, the Danger Witch has certainly fallen flat. They've taken that ad off TV.
Okay.
At the end of the day, I think what the problem with Russ is that I think they overplayed the hand.
Dude.
They overplayed the hand, because Russell Wilson had been used to playing the same scheme that catered 100% to his strengths. And I think what the problem with Russell Wilson ultimately is the fact that he was never pushed. And now he's finally being pushed by Hackett to say, you want to call yourself an elite quarterback, well, prove it. And I think that Russell Wilson is playing, dare I say, the cat and mouse game now to say, okay, I'll do it. But you're at this stepladder thing. So we finally started to see that Russell Wilson and the new scheme start to mesh in the Jags in London. And I think that's what the challenge was, is that the league expectation was that would be instantaneous. And I think it's just a matter of taking time for that to actually work.
Buddy came into Denver like LeBron in South Beach. He's like, it's not 1, it's not 2.
4, 5.
No. Hey, Jack, I'll have to do that. I'll have to do that another time, because I don't want to take anybody else's time on this show.
So, Sharif, I kind of disagree with this, which is Hackett opened up the playbook more than what Russell Wilson is used to. And Russell Wilson is used to a specific style of play, because Pete Carroll is very he has an outer wall on both sides of his offense, where it never deviates too far from kind of the left and right bounds in terms of how it works. And then Pete Carroll's offense also has a ceiling as well, because Pete Carroll is very much set in his ways and he believes in what he does. Can that work in the NFL? 100%. Look at how they're doing this year. The problem, though, is Russell Wilson has never been pushed. He's never been asked to elevate a team in truth, because Pete Carroll always had a scheme in mind and he wanted to play his team to that scheme. He tried to draft accordingly. Russell Wilson has always been capable of being maybe a little bit better than the scheme that was presented, especially as he's matured to the NFL. But because Carroll always kept Russ within those bounds of those boxes, Russ is now finally understanding what happens when you kind of basically knock those walls down. And it's just taking more time than it would otherwise normally take. So I actually think you're going to start seeing stepped increases and improvements as the Broncos go on.
That's interesting too, because a lot of people blaming Hackett for the demise of the team versus Russ.
Nope, not me.
Yeah, I see that.
Not
very,
me.
very interesting take you have.
And I can point to tape and film to prove it.
Mm-hmm.
When you have wide receivers that are running wide open and Russell Wilson misses them in wide open routes and everything else, that is not an offensive scheme problem. That is a quarterback problem.
And y'all paid him before he took a snap.
Look, I don't agree with that either, so we can just kind of leave that as is.
Okay.
However, I do think this is a great opportunity, since we've kind of delved a little bit into the Broncos, for me to bring in Titans Tube to talk about the Broncos versus Titans game that is coming up this Sunday. And we're going to get into what the Titans need to do to beat my Denver Broncos, which they're a good team, and we'll see what happens.
What's up, guys? Good to be here again with you for the second week in a row. So upcoming against the Denver Broncos. Broncos, once again, coming off a bye week, just like the Chiefs were coming off a bye week against the Titans. So we'll see what Russell Wilson is cooking up now with this Chiefs offense after getting a week off. But as for the Titans, for my 3 keys for the Titans to get a victory, first of all, 17 has to be out there for us. Ryan Tannehill has got to be the quarterback of this team. As you saw, Malik Willis, he is partly to blame for that woeful passing attack that we saw, but also it's these receivers and the offensive coordinator. The passing attack is just atrocious, and at least Tannehill gives us something. He gives us some stability. He might be able to complete a pass to a wide receiver. Yes, that's right. We did not complete a single pass to a wide receiver against the Chiefs. I don't know how we were even in that game. Key number 2, I think defensively, we saw the Achilles heel of the Titans defense last week was Patrick Mahomes' ability to extend plays with his legs. And Russell Wilson is a quarterback who very much can do that as well. Have a lot of confidence. This defense is absolutely astounding. They're elite. I think they put it on full display against the Chiefs Sunday night. If they can bring that kind of game again, I have great confidence in containing this Broncos offense. But really, it's the extending plays that can really kill this defense. So we got to make sure to not let Russell Wilson escape out of the pocket, use that ability, letting him cook up something extra with extending the time he has to throw the ball, letting his receivers get open. So we got to bring down Russell Wilson when we get pressure on him in the pocket. Thirdly and lastly, it's more of a self-inflicting wound for the Titans. Saw it again. I keep referencing the Sunday night game, but the penalties, especially on offense, can be such drive killers. This offense is not good enough to overcome a 1st and 20, a 2nd and 20, getting an early holding penalty call on an early down. We've got to be able to keep the running game an option throughout the series of downs and driving down the field. Because 1st and 20 will turn into a 2nd and 17, and then an incompletion 3rd and 17, and then you're going to punt the ball. So we have got to play a clean game, particularly on the offensive side of the ball when it comes to penalties. Because again, we're not good enough at attacking defenses downfield, throwing the ball. We don't have the receivers that are capable of coming down with big plays down the field. So we've got to make it. We got to make it manageable with the distance that we have to go. So that's going to do it. Thanks, guys, for having me on again. Love the show. We'll see you next time against the Chargers, probably down the road. Looking forward to it. That's it.
Yes, indeed.
Little spicy rock, little techno jam in there.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
So, I mean, I think you brought up some great points. Interesting things is that there are some similarities in terms of Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes waddles when he runs, so does Russell Wilson. So I think that's.
I think that's about it. It's probably where you stop it, though.
Oh wow!
I agree. I think Patrick Mahomes has a much better deep throw than Russell Wilson does at this point. I also think that Patrick Mahomes has the ability to throw at much different arm angles than Russell Wilson could ever dream of, which I think is also fair. So, I mean, I think those are some totally fair kind of comments and kind of the breakdown. The Broncos have done fairly well against the run. I also think that we have some players on our defensive line and inside linebacker who have proven to be able to stop bigger running backs. That being said, there is Derrick Henry is one of one.
Yeah,
he is a defensive end who has decided to play running back and is good at it.
Defensive end.
Yeah, he is. He's massive. The dude's like 275 and he runs like a 4.3. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, freaking nature. Like they made that dude in the lab. Like they gave him that Captain America serum from Marvel, and he just you shall be a running back, sir.
Yeah, his high school stats are so stupid. You ever seen those?
Oh my god, they're ridiculous. They are absolutely ridiculous. And if he hadn't been,
they're pretty close to mine. No big deal, but
yeah, if he hadn't played with another two perennial all-stars in the backfield at Alabama, he would have had crazy stats in Alabama too. You know, CJ Yeldon and company were just stealing carries, but you know that if he was there by himself as a bell cow, he'd have probably broke every record there was.
100%.
Yeah, when it comes down
to he was behind Ingram, wasn't he?
It was Ingram, Yeldon, and him. Was it Trent Richardson? No, it wasn't Trent Richardson. No, I was worried ago. That was a long time ago. It was Yeldon, Ingram, and him, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if one of those guys wasn't there, he would have. One of those guys, he would have literally broke every single record ever.
The dude had 12,000 rushing yards in high school.
See, that's insane. That's insane.
Well,
and imagine it's only a 10-game season.
In high school, he would have been the size of an offensive lineman.
Well,
6'3",
actually, and sorry, just because I actually followed a little bit of Henry's career. When he was actually in high school, they told him to consider being a lineman, and he told them no.
Yeah,
I mean, the guy is on track right now. If he can continue doing what he's doing, where he will be considered a legitimate Hall of Fame candidate.
I mean, he probably already is.
I mean,
he got 2K, so
right.
That's kind of
no, but like he's being looked at as being someone who defines the NFL, where you can't speak of this era without him, and I think that's appropriate and fair.
Oh yeah.
So as long as he can continue to stay healthy and keep doing what he's doing, he really does deserve to be in the Hall of Fame given his current trajectory. Just like he is that good.
Yeah, no denying it. Now the interesting thing from a matchup perspective I want to talk about in this game is that the Titans have a void of being able to throw the ball. They have no receivers. Like Treylon Burks hurt. That's the only capable receiver they have.
Woods.
Well, come on now. Let's cut it out. And let's just say hypothetically they have Robert Woods as a legit guy, even though he didn't catch a pass in the Chiefs game practically. They're gonna use Seth Surtain on him exclusively, so he's gone. Robert Woods is out of the equation with Surtain guarding him, so they have no passing game. So and you have a very stout front seven, so that you can load up to try to stop Henry or limit him. So the idea of this game could, being close and being a nail biter is very likely, in my opinion. I don't see it being one side or the other. I don't think it's a complete edge on either side. It really just is indicative of how well your offense moves the ball against their front seven, because they got a good front defense, on top of the fact that you guys have a great defense and they don't have any offense to speak of outside of Derrick Henry.
Yeah. The other thing that I think a lot of people are not factoring in is just how big of a difference Graham Glasgow at offensive center makes. I don't know. I know that I'm like the Broncos fan here, and I've been calling for that for I don't know how many weeks, guys. I mean, it's crazy, but
that's who you are. I thought I was colorblind.
I tried to really highlight that particular point by wearing my Broncos orange today. God!
I thought.
And just so everyone can actually call this out.
Oh, no.
This is my Tim Patrick jersey that I got from Coach's giveaway.
Yes, that's a lockdown defense podcast special that Richie's wearing.
Yeah, I'm sorry about a boot.
Not.
Why don't you just get out of here, you hoser?
Yeah.
Hose
Take
teaser.
off, eh? I gotta go.
See you, Cap.
Guys,
See you, Cap.
We'll see you next time.
So I actually think this game is going to be really interesting because I think the Broncos have a very good run defense. I think we're not amazing, but I think we're very good.
Mm-hmm.
I also think DJ Jones and Derrick Henry match up well against each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have that going for us. And frankly, I don't think the Titans have enough wide receiver weapons or a quarterback in either Tannehill or
Willis,
their backup in Willis,
mm-hmm.
who can throw the ball well enough to make our cornerbacks afraid.
Well, they can throw, but to who?
Yeah.
No. It's not only that. It's our cornerbacks are much better than their quarterbacks are on the Titans from throwing. So if you can sell out on the run and stop Henry and dare them to throw the ball, the Chiefs showed in the second half of their game that theory works.
Yeah.
Because that's what the Chiefs did, is they sold out on the run in the second half, and they won that game.
Yeah. It says Traylon Burks was designated for return.
Oh, was he?
Today.
Is he going to play, though?
I don't know. They got a long list of questionable guys.
You see? Yeah, exactly.
Ghostman, you're right. We the Broncos do need to outcoach them, but the point is what I'm making here is that the Titans haven't done enough to bolster their wide receiver room. And frankly, our 3-point stance guest highlighted that on multiple occasions as well, to make it difficult to outcoach them. This is not a particularly this is not like a Mount Everest challenge for Nathaniel Hackett as a first-year head coach. This is not like he's going against like Bill Belichick, for example, who is playing chess while Hackett's playing checkers. They're both playing checkers, and I think that Hackett can win. Whereas, no, and I'm not even trying to belittle the Titans head coach because I actually think he's within that top tier in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Vrabel is a legitimate head coach in the NFL, and he should never be questioned because we've seen him elevate a subpar team to be well above average.
Only successful guy from the Belichick coaching team.
100%.
Yeah,
no, 100%.
Unfortunately, that is the
wait,
case.
was he? Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, he played for him. I don't know if he actually coached.
No, he's technically from within the Belichick tree, so I would agree with that.
I know he started as. I think he because he was at Ohio State first. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
No, I would agree with that, but Vrabel is the one lone wolf from the Belichick tree that has really done very well.
Oh yeah.
So did he actually coach with him? I thought he just played for him.
Yeah, I don't know if he did or not.
I don't recall.
Well, at the end of the day, he would have learned from what
he's the only one that has exposure to Belichick, right? Who's also successful at coaching.
There you go. There you go. We'll put it there. We'll put it there. I got it.
Right, and so the challenge with Vrabel is that he hasn't valued his wide receivers, and oddly enough, that's actually Bill Belichick's MO. He doesn't value wide receivers as much as other coaches do.
True. But his struggles right now, but it's all no conversation.
But I actually think that Vrabel is one of the few coaches from that kind of general era that's actually done well. I think Vrabel understands what made Belichick win, and he's trying to replicate it, and he's done very well. Vrabel's defense is spectacular. He's gotten subpar teams to play well above what they should be playing at in terms of their success at the NFL level. And the Titans have gone from mediocre to consistent contenders year in, year out under Vrabel, and you can't underestimate that. However, I think the Broncos just simply this week match up well against the Titans. That doesn't mean we're going to win, but I think that we actually have, when you start stacking player by player, scheme by scheme, I think this is a game that we should win.
Yeah, should. But will you? Will you? on that note, gents, I got to go. But
certainly have done a much better job to help us.
Yes,
because Timmy Toe Taps, or Toe Tap Timmy, depending on how you like to call him, is a ball control possession receiver who catches 80% of anything thrown in his general zip code. And I think that a guy like that makes a big difference for a team against the Titans where it's going to be tight. Because you're not going to be able to run the ball well on them because they value defense too much.
Yeah.
And you then need to rely on your wide receiver core and your quarterback and your offensive line to hold up in order to beat a team like that. And the Denver Broncos, I think with Latavius Murray, have a good shot of getting some more wear and tear on the Titans defensive line than what we saw from the Chiefs, for example. The Chiefs do not have big bruising backs like Murray. And I think that makes a difference, right? Against big DNs, having a big running back helps as you get into the fourth quarter. Sorry, Alex, just a fact. No, it's just a fact. I mean, look at what, for example, look what Henry has done against teams that have typically been very good against the run.
Yeah.
First half of the game, he typically hasn't done well. And then as teams get more tired as the game goes on, he's then started to show out. The Chiefs are on the flip side of that. Your backs are more tactical and a little bit more pointed.
Yeah. Well,
and I think that against a Titans defense, that does better. However, I think the Broncos defense and our scheme and everything else, I think it'll be a little too much for the Titans to overcome. But problem is that the Broncos have been the Broncos this year. And frankly, we've struggled against teams that we really have no business struggling against. And it all comes down, in my opinion, to our offensive center in Graham Glasgow.
Yeah. And Eric Saubert, don't forget him. Eric Saubert.
No, Saubert
right now.
Dolchich, yeah, it's the Dolchich show.
No, but Dolchich is the pass catching tight end. Saubert is the well-rounded guy.
Right.
Dolchich can't block very well right now at his early stage in his career. So you need a guy like Saubert to elevate the overall team. And I think that's what you're seeing. And in my opinion, the Broncos would do well to sign Saubert to a long-term deal just to secure him, because they need someone like that to help teach Saubert how to block well.
Fair enough. All right, boys, I'm going to take my Chargers anxiety and I'm going to go. I got to do another interview, but great show, and I will catch you guys next week.
See you,
Have a good one. And Alex, just you and me, we're going to delve into the Chiefs game.
Oh, yeah, with our routine guest, right?
This is, again, our Jags guest from down by the bank, JK3. And Alex, I'm not going to lie, I actually think the Jags have a reasonable chance in this game. And let's hear what JK3 has to say. And I only say that because I think the Jags and the Titans are fairly similar.
Yeah.
And we're going to go ahead and see what JK3 has to say about his Jags versus your Chiefs. Here we go.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is JK3 again, coming from Down by the Bank, a Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. It's been a blast talking through the AFC West, with Wild Wild West podcast over this year, and getting some of my takes on what my Jacksonville Jaguars have to do to be become victorious against the AFC West. So far, I'll give you some keys to victory to the Chargers. We dropped one against the Broncos. And then we were able to go ahead and get the win against the Raiders on Sunday in a true comeback fashion for the Jags. So this Sunday, we've got the crown jewel of the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Jaguars are opening at a -9.5 against the Chiefs. And I personally think this is going to be a closer game. So JK3 with Down by the Bank. And here are my 3 takeaways for what the Jags have to do to be successful against the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday. Number 1, score, and score some more. The Kansas City Chiefs, have been a high-powered offense. They'll continue to be a high-powered offense. This team kind of really thrives on, that offense that's running through Mahomes, running through Kelsey, and a couple of ragtag receivers as well. So if the Jaguars can continue to, score up with them, the Chiefs have been giving up 24 points at least a game, and they're 31 in passing touchdowns. So again, try to keep up with Kansas City, try to do the best they can. The Jaguars have been doing that as far as, leading the league in first downs. They also do run a lot of plays as well. So I think that, this is going to be an opportunity to really let Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence, everyone get out and improve and score. You got to score in order to keep up with the Kansas City Chiefs. Number 2, get ETN going, keep him going. He's 320 yards away right now from breaking 1,000 yards, and he split most of the carries, up until 2 weeks ago where he became the feature back here in Jacksonville. He's got 5 rushing. He's got 5 consecutive games right now of 100 yards rushing. So again, along with that scoring and along with getting the offensive rolling, got to keep the run going through ETN and really let this guy get out there and get involved, and get some action. And my third takeaway as well, probably the most important and probably the most obvious takeaway, but stay disciplined against Patrick Mahomes, which is going to be a tough thing to do. Tennessee had them on the ropes last week, and Mahomes did his thing. So can this defense again, be relied upon to continue to stay disciplined? Last week, they had to make some great second half adjustments and shut out, Derek Carr and Devontae Adams, in the second half of the game against the Raiders. And so hopefully, this team, again, in the defense can continue to stay disciplined, against Mahomes, keep them in those rush lanes, everyone stay in their gap assignments, and, we play some mistake-free football. And I think that'll be a chance, for the Jags to win. Of course, only 3 things, but, I think they're going to be the perfect game in order to become victorious against the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday. So, again, my 3 takeaways, continue to score, continue to run ETN, and if the defense can stay disciplined, I think this will be a close game, with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Kansas City Chiefs. Once again, it's been my pleasure to talk to all you guys all over the years so far in the AFC West, going through these opponents. Big shout out to Rich and the Wild Wild West podcast for having me on the last couple consecutive weeks. It's been an outstanding journey, and I appreciate everyone that's been following the podcast on Twitter at Down by the Bank. Again, you can find me on Twitter at JK3rd. And thank you. And Duval, let's go, Jags.
I mean, Down by the Bank podcast has been spectacular for us to provide us the Jaguars content. They really have. We just have to really give them a round of applause and say thank you very much for joining us all of the weeks where we have wanted feedback on what the Jacksonville Jaguars need to do to go against our AFC West division. The one thing, Alex, I want to reach out to you and kind of get your feedback on is, Henry is literally, as I said earlier, a defensive end playing the running back position. He is, he is, an animal by any measure. It's just ridiculous.
He is just a dude, but ETN in his own way is becoming a dude too.
100%, and that's where I was going with that, which is,
I was picking it up.
yeah, exactly. ETN has really shown out.
Yeah,
and even against the Broncos, which have been one of the better run defenses in the NFL this season, Etienne had a game.
Yeah, he had 156. I mean, yeah, he's been putting up good numbers, and I mean, he even referred to it once they got rid of James Robinson that kind of picked up even more. But and that to me was the biggest key for KC to beat Jacksonville. I think if they can contain Etienne at least to some degree, then I don't see really any issue with them winning this game because Tennessee, while they are kind of the I guess same mold and using a big featured back, even if we're comparing Etienne to Henry, both these offenses, at least from what I've watched, looking at Tennessee and Jacksonville, or any AFC South really starts with the run. But I think the biggest difference is just that Jacksonville, from the defensive perspective, is young and is not. Their secondary is really nothing to worry about, in my opinion. They only have. I went back to kind of look at. Usually, what I do, like looking at the upcoming opponent, is what does their line get in terms of pressure. And for some of the big names that Jacksonville has, they don't get a whole lot of pressure. And for me being a Chiefs fan and for having Patrick Mahomes as your QB, that's certainly something that you don't mind to see. I mean, I think they have like I'm trying what I. Yeah, their top guy is Smoot, and he has 5. I think they have like 13 sacks total as a team. Smoot's got 5.
Yeah, but
Josh,
sacks are actually tackling the quarterback, not pressures, right?
yeah, but I mean to the same degree though, if they're getting sacks, then they're not, the offense isn't moving the ball.
Sure.
So to me, and when you have a guy like Josh Allen, who I wanted the Chiefs to trade for, I would have thought that they would have gotten more. They'd have more sack numbers than what you would see. So really, I think that if the Chiefs can just contain Etienne, and I bet he will have at least a hot start, kind of like we saw with Henry. But what KC's at least shown that they've been able to do up to this point is make pivotal halftime adjustments to kind of cap that stuff off. I mean, Derrick Henry, you said earlier, he kind of, at least his track record is to kind of wear people down and ball out more at the end of the game. Well, against the Chiefs, Derrick Henry was making his presence known super early, and then they kind of shut it down once you got to the next half. So if they can do that, I think Trevor Lawrence is a good QB. I want him to be a good QB, but he's definitely been sporadic in my opinion. And I think if you get to a point to where they have to, they can't rely on the run as much, I think you're going to see him making some errors and big, big moments in the game. And even for all the offensive weapons they signed this offseason, their receiving core is not really anything that spectacular in terms of their production. I think Christian Kirk is the leading receiver, and he's only gone over 100 yards in the first week of the season. So, I mean, if they and the Chiefs secondary has been getting healthier as we've gone on. Trent McDuffie, the rookie, has really kind of come out, in my opinion, and
he's done well.
The teams don't even seem to really test him for someone who was been on the IR. And when they do, he's always, he's making the plays. He's got like some pretty ridiculous stat line for a rookie out there in the Chiefs secondary, nonetheless, because the Chiefs never been known for their secondary. Let's put it that way. When we had Eric Berry, maybe, but in years past. I do agree with you, Avatar. I think Lawrence is a scarier QB than Malik Willis. So that's not that hard. I think Eulinger and Indy is probably scarier. But the Jags are certainly a good team. They're ascending in the right direction. But I feel like a lot of the games they've been into it and been in it at the end, and then you've seen them make mistakes that have kind of killed it.
Right. If I can piggyback on Avatar's comment there, Lawrence has had very high highs and very low lows.
Yeah.
And if I can elaborate on that just a little bit, Alex, and then throw over to you to kind of comment on that.
Yeah.
Which is, you've seen Lawrence come out and, I mean, just blow your socks off in some of the plays he's had, right? Like where he's thrown, wide receivers open in space. He's thrown wide receivers open in stride. And, frankly, their wide receiver room isn't spectacular to begin with, but
he's making it work though.
But he's made it work. However, you've also seen what we saw in the Broncos game. And frankly, if we're going to be honest, Avatar, what we've seen from the Jags in most games this season is Lawrence finds himself in positions where he feels he needs to force it.
Mm-hmm.
And when he feels he needs to force it, he almost gets in his own head.
Was it that Giants game? They would have beaten the Giants if he didn't. Or was it the Broncos one I'm thinking of in the end zone?
No, it was both.
Yeah,
it was both. So your point is well taken, 100%. Which is all Lawrence needed to do is stay within the box.
Yeah.
Right. Which is, you can't do the thing, so don't try to do the thing. Right.
But he's gonna do it.
Like don't do it, and he does it anyway.
Don't touch this.
Yeah,
I don't want to touch
it. There's a song, "Can't Touch This" by MC Hammer, and Lawrence just needs to literally replay that in his head regularly, and he'll do well, right? And the problem is Trevor Lawrence seems to see a receiver and think he can do something that he did in college, but it doesn't work in the NFL. Yeah. But he still thinks he can make it work at the NFL level. He needs to pivot from that and get used to the fact that cornerbacks at the NFL level are just better.
Yeah.
And I think as soon as he gets past that, he'll do well.
Baby Groot. Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, the Jaguars team to me is certainly on the come up. I think they'll be in an even better position next year. But I just don't see I don't see really any issue that KC should have in beating them, especially with how they've been playing up to this point. Because to me, a lot of like the Titans game wouldn't have been that close if they can just negate some of the dumb stuff they do, early on in games. And so if they can just go out and play a good, clean game, which I mean,
yes, but have they been able to do that this year?
I mean, they have at times, and they've also played some pretty good opponents. I mean, they haven't had really any sort of, I guess the Colts would have been the one that they would have been probably their biggest joke opponent, and they look what happened in that.
Right.
But I think you've been seeing them progress, at least in terms of offense and how they're because I mean, to me, KC's pretty much set up. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and they're always there to say, okay, we're going to turn this into a pissing contest at the end of this. And as long as we can stay remotely close, like we'll find a way to win. Because that's just kind of how it's gone.
So here, let me throw this out to you then. So if you're saying KC is slow to start and they try to adjust at the back end of the game to turn it into we'll call it a shootout, right? Which is the traditional way of kind of calling it. Against my Broncos, I don't think you'll do very well.
Might not. Who knows?
No. And I'm not even trying to just like say, haha, we got you now. But at the end of the day, the Broncos secondary is much better than most of the other teams in the AFC West, even though the other AFC West guys, they're not here right now, don't want to admit it.
No, I mean, I don't disagree with that. The Broncos, definitely have the best secondary in the division and probably arguably in the league.
Right.
With Surtain alone.
I mean, Surtain just on his own is just unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, and
sorry, I have to interject. And unlike Sauce Gardner, who seems to be getting all this love, Surtain doesn't hold guys like he does.
Hey man, Sauce is still good too, though.
Sauce Gardner has shown that he transitions well to the NFL. The problem that I have with him is that for whatever reason, he has gotten away with things that other guys have not.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. And my thing is, I don't think that actually does Sauce any favors, because the Jets fans that are seeing Sauce this year, when he transitions into year 2,
yeah, it could be bad.
I mean, he could be like the most penalized cornerback in the league, and I don't think that's a good thing for the league, and I don't think it's a good thing for the Jets. So I think that the league is doing themselves a disservice. I think they need to start coaching him through penalties and other things, because I think he has a skill.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think he clearly has the skill, but he needs to start having some flags thrown to help course correct some of his college issues.
Yeah.
that he's carrying into the NFL. And then but I think he has the skill set to overcome it. So I think he needs to start getting some calls. And I think in a year or two, I mean, I think he could literally be the best cornerback in the league, and that's scary to think about.
Well,
but
there's a lot of promising young corners out there.
There are.
And like I even said, with a small sample size to this point, I think McDuffie could be up in that combo too.
Sure.
But
potentially.
The Chiefs secondary has certainly been ascending in the right direction, and they've been youthful. And I mean, that was the emphasis of the offseason, was to get more youth on defense. And they've kind of just been picking it up every week and being more successful in getting guys healthier and guys back. So I think I project them to cover the 9.5 spread, and I mean, I think they win this one pretty easily if they can just contain the run when we get down to the final stretch, which for the most part they've been able to do once we've got into the second half of games.
Yeah, I my only concern with the Chiefs and the Jags is the Jags have a very underrated offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, they have Brandon Scherf. He's a solid guard. They got Cam. Cam Robinson's their left tackle. He's okay. But I mean, that's never been.
But sure, but let's flip the script. No, but let's flip the script. The Broncos defense is easily within the top 5 in the NFL. Okay, I think we can all agree on that. The Broncos defense has been absolutely legit this year. I mean, let's put it this way. The Broncos defense is top 5, and the Broncos offense is like 29th or something like that.
And their record is what?
Well, no, but that's my point, right? Is that the defense can only take you so far. But what I'm trying to get at here is the Broncos defense only had so much success against the Jags offensive line. And their line, in my opinion, is very underrated. And that's why you're seeing the Jags stay within these games within such margins.
Yeah. But my point to counter that is, while the Broncos have a good defense, I mean, the Chiefs clearly have a much more potent offense and have certainly been able to win games because of their offense. So,
sure.
If the Denver game was 21-17, I would be shocked if Kansas City can only score 21 points on Jacksonville. When you have Andy Reid, that's kind of in Mahomes. I mean, that's been the way that they've done it. Have a bend don't break defense, but keep us in the game till the end, and then Rob, you're a little late, man. But like they've been able to win it with offense and not really having a whole lot of success in terms of the defensive stats. That's the one thing. I mean, KC's up. They have several players up there in terms of pressure, but don't have the sack stat line that you would like to see when you look at those. I mean, Chris Jones, I think, is the highest win rate on pass rush and in terms of pressure.
I don't think anyone's arguing that Chris Jones is not a force in the NFL.
No.
Robert, on your comment here, in Canada, I don't know about the US, but I can say Canada, the month of November is referred to as Movember here in Canada, and I am participating in that. I shaved my beard on a Friday, and by Monday I had this. I am just that much of an animal. I can grow facial hair just that quickly.
You don't have to apologize either, Robert. We're just glad to have you here.
I agree.
Life always gets you in the nuts.
However, this is my 1 week growth of a mustache for Movember here, which is it's a Men's Health Month here in Canada. I don't know if it exists in the US as well. I think it does as well, but
yeah, it does.
Yeah, but in Canada here, I am participating with about 3 other lawyers at my law firm that I support. They use me as a ringer because I can grow a mustache in about 3 days. And so I am supporting Movember. I have posted that on my Twitter, and this is my contribution to men's health and other things like that. I have several of both my family members as well as close friends of mine that have either beaten or suffered from whether it be prostate cancer and other men's health issues. So this is my attempted contribution to the cause. And I'm going to see if I can't grow the legit super thick car guy handlebar mustache.
Like the Dr. Disrespect look.
Pretty much, yeah, 100%. and I can. This will literally grow by the end of this month to be some real oomph to it, just because that's what I do. And Robert, never fear, I will 100% grow back my full beard because I can't take this anymore. I have to shave 3 times a day to keep this, and that just doesn't work for me. So. Wow. I'm a true Canadian. What can I say? But Alex, the one thing I have to say is, what do you see is different between the Jags and the Titans?
Their defense, I think, in terms of like their secondary.
I see them as similar.
Front. I mean, no, the Tennessee has a much better defensive front than Jacksonville does. Jacksonville has a much more hyped up. In terms of where these guys were drafted and they're youthful. But Tennessee has a much better front seven than Jacksonville does, and a better secondary as well. Jacksonville is probably better when comparing them to Tennessee, and when you get to the second level and their linebackers. I mean, Devin Lloyd's definitely a real deal type of guy. He's going to be, for being a rookie, he's a beast. And then the guy, I always butcher his name, but the guy they brought over from Atlanta, they have 2 quality linebackers, but I mean, their front line is really not anything overly crazy. It's a lot of like rotational, kind of like journeyman type guys. They don't have like a Jeffrey Simmons up there. They don't have a Bud Dupree. They have Trevon Walker and Josh Allen, but I alluded to it when I started. Their stats in terms of pressures and sacks is not what you think it would be at for the weight their names carry. So I mean, to me, I think Tennessee just is a better defensive unit. So I just don't see that. And also, I mean, KC. The game was close more because of KC doing dumb stuff than Tennessee. The Mahomes interception. That alone, if they negate that, it's kind of a different game. And I just think that in Arrowhead, with a young, inconsistent Jaguars team, and not as potent of a defense as what you saw with Tennessee, I think that will end up being a pretty solid Chiefs win. I mean, it's going to be an entertaining game. Jacksonville can certainly put points up, but I think once it gets to push comes to shove, I think KC runs away with it.
I think it'll be an interesting game. I really do. I think that this has the potential to be an upset for KC.
Oh, you say that every week, so
no. There's certain teams I just think KC's going to blow out, but I see the Jags and the Titans as being very similar teams. And I saw what you guys did against the against the Titans rather last week. And I mean, can the Chiefs blow the doors off the Jags? Sure. But if you were to put my feet to the fire and say, hey, the Chiefs just lost to the Jags, would I be shocked? No. So my point being is that I think that the Titans and the Jags are very similar in terms of teams. And I just saw the Titans and the Chiefs play, and the Chiefs barely won. So I could totally see the Chiefs losing to the Jags because the Jags could, have taken an extra step on the Chiefs and, figured a few things out, and the Chiefs are still trying to figure out their new offense and that kind of stuff. So my point being is I could totally see the Chiefs not winning this game. I don't think the Chiefs are awful. I've changed my tune on the Chiefs this year. But nonetheless, I think that we saw what the Chiefs' weakness is against a running team with a good offensive line.
Yeah.
And then the question is, can the Jags hold on, and can Trevor Lawrence not make mistakes? And if the answer to that is in this game he can, then I think the Chiefs are in for a long game.
Well, I'll have to respectfully disagree, but
look, the Jags also have a bunch of picks that are in the top echelon of the draft. I think the Jags are finally starting to learn to come into their own.
Oh yeah, I mean they're a young team. That's why I said they're trending in the right direction. But I mean, games like this and in the NFL, not that I've ever physically been in one, but the older, more mature guys always find ways to not make mistakes and win at the end of the game.
Sure,
and that's where I'm getting at with if it's close. Similar thing. I mean, it might even have been a different game last week if Tannehill was starting and it's the same situation, because he's a different QB who's not gonna, he's not gonna know what they, what mistakes to make and stuff when you compare it to Malik Willis. Same with, you put Tom Brady on Jacksonville. I mean, I'm sure they're, in a much better situation than they are.
A 9-10 win team, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, guys, that's going to do us for the Wild Wild West podcast this Wednesday. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us and staying right to the end. We wanted to make sure we covered off everything this week, right start to finish. Again, just great having you all with us today. If you have any comments or questions that you'd like to reach out to us, there's a comment section down below each and every one of these videos. Please leave us there. We will reach out to you as soon as we possibly can. If you'd like to reach out to us on Twitter, you can go ahead and find us. I am at RichiRichEh, and this is at the real Alex Givens, because there's a bunch of fake ones out there. And
I just got Givens is a popular last name, man. It is Givens.
It is. And also we have Lockdown Defense and Captain Jack RackEm. They are very easy to find on both YouTube and Twitter. And if you have anything else that you would like us to cover in both this podcast and all future ones, again, just comments down below. And until next Wednesday, where we get right into all of the details, the nitty gritty, and all of the other fun stuff that we have to cover on the Wild Wild West podcast, We will see you next Wednesday, where the West Side is the best side. Peace.